If you've been living under a rock for the past month, you might not have heard about the new How to Train Your Dragon live-action movie. The casting has sparked some serious controversy, especially around the actor playing Astrid, Nico Parker. I'm gonna analyze this video, made by a creator called Alteori. Alteori? Anyways, let's go.
This is what Astrid looks like, right? Since the inception of this franchise, the movie platform, there is a difference between when you're changing something from a book medium to a on-screen medium, so long as the book medium isn't a widely known established franchise, which How to Train Your Dragon was not. Let's just be honest.
Let's be honest, you're the one lying. So for those who don't know, the animated How to Train Your Dragon movies are adaptations of the original books. So basically the animated movies are not even the originals. These books are a very well established franchise, and her saying otherwise is just straight up false. She's also trying to differentiate the live action medium and the animated medium from the book medium, as if one type of adaptation has more inherent value or deserves more respect than the other.
But from the inception of this franchise, this is what Astrid looks like. Had they cast Hiccup and made him blonde and blue-eyed, I'd be very, very annoyed because it's not what he looks like.
You realize Mason Thames, the actor of the live action adaptation, has brown eyes, while Hiccup has green. I can name countless differences between Mason Thames and Hiccup's appearance, like their freckles, their height, their teeth, etc. But the only features that need to be corrected are the ones that differentiate Astrid and Nico, their hair and their eyes. Also, being annoyed doesn't make your argument valid.
Had they cast Toothless, I know it sounds funny, right? Casting, but you know what I mean. Had they drawn Toothless and decided to suddenly make him the exact same, sort of, but then make him look like a Light Fury, why bother naming him Toothless? Why not just have it be a different dragon with a different story?
Toothless' appearance is an important part of his story and character. He is called the Night Fury because he's black and can disappear in the night sky. Changing his appearance would also change his story. However, Astrid's story has nothing to do with her appearance, whether she has straight hair or blue eyes.
Everyone is jumping on the bandwagon of, well, it must be because people just don't like dark-skinned people, which obviously isn't the case here with Nico Parker, because as you can see, she is not dark-skinned.
Yeah, you're right, she's not dark-skinned. The case being people don't like black people and their black features. Racists don't just go after dark-skinned people.
That's not where the main problem lies. I mean, I understand the virtue signaling of it. I do get it, because they can get away with it and be like, see, we're being diverse, so you can't say that we're prejudiced.
It's crazy to me that you think they hired Nico just for the cast to be diverse. You care about her race so much that you completely disregard her talent.
But here's the thing, if you're gonna go this route, make her blonde. We've got a first look, Universal Pictures posted this, and we've got a first look of them on set, and apparently this is supposed to be Astrid.
I still don't understand why she needs to be blonde. You might say because Astrid is, and you need to stick to source material. But let's not forget that the animated movie already made changes to her character compared to the original books. You had no problem with it back then, why now? An adaptation is not a shot-for-shot remake. What's the fun in that?
If this was a character of color being whitewashed, people would lose it, and that would be a completely understandable reaction. But apparently swapping it the other way is artistic vision.
There's just no way you're comparing whitewashing with casting a black woman as Astrid. Whitewashing erases the opportunity for those cultures to be represented authentically. Whitewashing happens all the time. For example, with Aang in The Last Airbender, Scarlett Johansson in Ghost in the Shell, Jack Gyllenhaal in Prince of Persia, Tilda Swinton in Doctor Strange. Casting Nico as Astrid is not erasing any part of her identity or background. It is not the same thing as whitewashing.
He also mentioned that Vikings were mixed with other cultures, so let me understand something. I could be ignorant, but are you, referencing all those times they pillaged and violated their way through Europe? Because that's what most of the mixing pertained to.
No, you're just ignorant. The reality of Vikings was multifaceted, and not all of them were cruel. Now, even if all of them were killers and rapers, why does it matter? The reality is that mixed children existed in the Viking culture.
Let's not pretend that this is some historical deep dive. If you're leaning on, we're crafting a fantasy to explain the changes, why even bring up Viking mixing in the first place? It's like you're saying it's totally a fantasy, but here's some cherry-picked historical context to justify it. It's either it's a free-for-all fantasy, or it's rooted in history. You gotta pick a lane.
I do agree that mentioning the historical accuracy of Black Vikings is unnecessary, because it's a fictional movie. But a fictional movie can still use elements inspired by historical events. For example, How to Train Your Dragon has Vikings in it. Vikings are historical, but they also have dragons. Dragons are fictional. So no, you don't have to pick a lane.
Yes, Astrid, Ariel, and Hermione aren't real, but franchises thrive on consistency and connection. So when a character looks a certain way, their appearance, their personality are already cemented in recent cinema, changing them so drastically can feel like a betrayal to everybody who supported the franchise in the first place.
Changing Astrid's appearance does not mean changing her personality. Maybe you feel betrayed, but that does not prove the change is inherently wrong. It's valid to grow accustomed to the appearance of a character, but consistency goes beyond the appearance. In the Tom Holland Spider-Man movies, MJ kept her smart, independent personality, and Zendaya's performance was a hit despite her different look. Wally West in The Flash also had racial changes, but stayed true to their character and got great responses. These examples show that what fans care about most is the character's personality, traits, and story, not just their appearance.
You're not changing Hiccup. You're not changing Toothless, even though you made him look a little worse. You didn't change Stoic. So why did you change Astrid? You really mean to tell me, of all the people that you've auditioned, that Nico Parker was the best person for the role? Really? They used to have casting calls for people who fit a certain description to play a character that people already know and love.
The character they know and love is Astrid. They love her for her personality and story, not because she's a blonde with blue eyes. And according to the director, Nico resembles her the most, personality-wise. It's not only Nico who looks different from her role either. Multiple actors from the cast look different, but it's only Nico the judge. Wonder why? Racism. As I said earlier, they did change Hiccup, but also the twins, and Fish Legs, and Snot Loud. You only value the difference between Astrid and Nico because you are racist.
Like Superman. If they made Superman look blonde, I would be very upset because that's not how Superman looks. We have a blonde Superman, it's called Homelander, and nobody likes him. Actually, we like him as a villain, but you know what I mean. But in all the iterations of Superman, what do you notice? Oh my god. He's pale-skinned, he's got a strong jawline, he's very attractive, except for that one over there. I don't know what the fuck that is, but yeah, he's brunette or dark-haired, strong, muscular build, tall. That is Superman.
Okay, let me ask you this. What makes you think of Superman? Black hair and brown eyes, or heat vision and super strength? The second one, right? You're allowed to have your own opinion, and recognizing Superman's appearance as iconic is understandable, but changing it in an adaptation does not equal the movie being worse. Again, MJ was a white woman in the comics and movies. Wally and Iris West was white. Same thing with Green Lantern. He first appeared as white, but has been casted as black and portrayed so multiple times. We don't have the same reaction as you have, because we understand that inconsistency in a character's appearance does not equal a bad character.
Same thing with Storm from X-Men. She's always been a dark-skinned woman of African descent with white or silver hair. If they were to suddenly make her blonde or redheaded, I would be so upset. Because even though you can say, well, she was black in the comics, we didn't have a lot of representation in the comics at that time for black people, so it's understandable. But even if you were to change it, it's too late now, because every iteration of her in the movies is basically identical to what she was in the comics. She is established as looking this way.
Wait, what is that? Storm with short hair, which is different from other adaptations, and people were okay with it? But yeah, comparing Astrid and Storm is illogical, because they are different. For example, Storm's silver hair is connected to her powerful and mystical abilities. It's symbolism for her power. Name one connection between Astrid's blonde hair and her personality and story. You can't, because there is none. Changing Storm's hair results in inconsistency in her story. That's why it's worse.
So if they suddenly make her into another ethnicity or make her look drastically different, then the audience has an issue with it, and the director tries to gaslight them saying, you have a problem with this? Well, that's a you problem, bro.
Well, Storm's ethnicity is often seen as problematic because her race is central to her identity. Also, Storm is one of Marvel's first black superheroes who represents empowerment and visibility for black audiences. Comparing Astrid and Storm is again illogical. Astrid's race is not a defining part of her story.
Also, franchises aren't just about movies, you're building a brand. When fans go to your theme parks or they buy the merchandise, they want to see the Astrid they connected with, not a version that looks totally different depending on the media.
What did he even try to make with that point? If you watch the live action movie, of course you will recognize the new Astrid merchandising. Just like how you can recognize the animated Astrid, you can recognize the live action one. What makes merchandising appealing is the emotional connection to the character and their story, not the fact that they're blonde and blue-eyed. Do you really think a kid will see an Astrid doll and say, ew, a black Astrid with braids? No. Also, you're acting as if they've completely erased Astrid, but the animated version is still available and unchanged. You don't have to watch the live action, and you don't have to buy its merchandise.
Which is basically the same medium, which is cinema, which is it's on the screen, it's on the big screen.
But that's just your subjective opinion. Look at the backlash when Harry Potter, Percy Jackson, or The Hobbit changed things from their books. Clearly people care about book adaptations too.
If you want to reimagine the world or add diversity, why not create new characters that complement the story instead of altering the existing ones? It's not about replacing whitewashing with the opposite. It's about respecting the identity of characters that we've all grown to love.
Again, inconsistency in a character's appearance does not equal a bad character, as her story and personality stays the same. My previous examples of race swaps shows that it really doesn't matter. What matters is a good story. If the director claimed the adaptation to be a shot-for-shot remake, then Astrid's blonde hair would be necessary, but he hasn't, and he doesn't have to, because it's an adaptation, just like the animated movies.
This whole thing doesn't even need to be talked about, to be honest, because this movie should not have even been made. If you have a theme park and you want to drum up some excitement and keep the name of How to Train Your Dragon relevant, I know this is going to sound freaking bizarre, but I don't know, call me crazy if I'm being too much. Why not just make another animated movie of How to Train Your Dragon?
You can think whatever you want about remaking animated movies into live action. I'm not here to argue about that, but again, you do realize the animated How to Train Your Dragon movies are an adaptation of the original book? You prefer animation, which is okay, but again, that's just your subjective opinion. New mediums create new audiences.
Oh wait, I forgot. You guys lack creativity now. For some reason that well has run completely dry, someone sucked it out of your proverbial blowholes and you have none left. And so the only thing you can do is retell a story you've already told while making it look worse.
Wait, so now you're arguing that it's not original enough, but Astrid has to stay exactly the same. Make up your mind, woman. Change or no change. It's funny how you think making an adaptation of something original is lazy. But again, the animated movie, the one you've been glazing this entire time, is itself an adaptation.
Now that Astrid looks completely different and we have a bunch of merch and people are going to the theme parks to see Astrid and they're like, who the fuck is this?
What? What? I'm just picturing again like a kid, where is my blonde and blue-eyed Astrid? No.
Diversity is being able to create new characters as well and expanding a story instead of reworking the established characters. This feels lazy and out of touch.
The idea that diversity is only valid when introducing new characters is limiting. That's a definition and reality you just made up. You're limiting Nico as an actress by assuming she got the role over a blonde actress solely for diversity. Casting isn't just about race.
And speaking of reworking the characters, it was only while I was doing this video that more info, or I found more info on the video, and I found out that apparently the whole cast is having this kind of rework, and the reason why people are making a big deal about Astrid is because she and Hiccup were the first ones that people were aware of. They didn't know who the other people were. They didn't know what they looked like. It was only Astrid. So that's why people were talking about it.
Yeah, sure, but the rest of the cast was revealed more than 8 months ago. So for the past 8 months, the information of the entire cast has been out. But most people only have a problem with Astrid, like that's the main issue in your video. The real problem isn't that she looks different from the animated version of Astrid, it's that the issue with her is her black features. Yeah, but that was the video. Hope you guys could understand me, my English, it's not very good. I did leave a few things that you said at the end, but most of it was just repetitive, with things I've already explained. But let me know what you guys think about the video. Hope you liked the video, and I'll see you in the next one.